Hey there folks, my name is Kurn. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel in the first place. This is episode 7 of The Root Trees Are Dead, except I finished The Root Trees Are Dead. I'm now going to play ROOTTREEMANIA, but I don't know if it's a long game, a short game, I don't know. So we'll see how this goes. Here we go. A whole new mystery, I'm so excited. It will spoil unlocked content. That's fine. Ugh. Life is lifing, so I'm glad to just get a chance to sit down and play this. The door again. Who's that?
Hi, I'm Clark.
Oh,
Probably not who you expected to be knocking, but
Clark.
life's funny sometimes.
Clark Rafferty.
You've done well staying anonymous. It took us a while to track you down.
That sounds a little ominous.
A lot has happened in the last year. Far too much of it public. But there's stuff going on behind the scenes, too.
Okay.
I never wanted to be president. I'm not great with stress. And with my mother's deteriorating
Ooh.
I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I'm not here for sympathy. I'm here because part of the fallout of Sam's book is that everyone's coming out of the woodwork. Now that it's public knowledge the Clancy Trust covers any root tree despite their history with us, a lot of potential cousins have surfaced.
Uh-oh.
You may have seen that man on the cover of News Time. That was a disaster for us.
I have not.
And then Miracle went and made it all about himself.
Oh dear.
The long and short of it is a lot of potential cousins just showed up. Sam's helping some of them.
Granny and Grandpa had cousins, remember?
But she's not really going about it the right way. And she's not taking calls from anyone in the family. I let it slip through a mutual friend that I found you, and I was stopping in. It's manipulative, but I'm hoping she'll reach out to you. You can let her know I'm on her side. In the meantime, if you're willing, I can share our files with you. Pass them along to Sam if she reaches out. I'm genuinely hoping she'll realize I'm an ally. Feel free to do your own research. I've been told you enjoy things like this. To each their own.
My grandmother used to say that to me. She used to say teach their own, but she would say it in the most condescending way possible. And not like about me, but like about other people. Like, ugh, to each their own. Okay. Oh my god. There's more. Oh, this could be a whole other thing. Oh, wow. Okay. So that's Clark, who we just saw. His mom is Lauren, who is the writer. She apparently has a deteriorating condition. So I presume that that is going to be Alzheimer's or something along those lines. Everything else is pretty much... oh, that's interesting. I hadn't locked in all the spouses and stuff. Although I did know that that was the case. Okay, so that... There are some spoilers. And I probably should have finished it and then done a sweep of all the other people. Okay, so possible infidelity 1, 1921. Possible infidelity 2, 1949. Possible infidelity 3. What? First affair? And I guess second affair and final affair? Family Tree Update 1998. That oh, I guess it's 1999 now, right? Okay. This is amazing. You'll have to be extra sleuthy this time, or this time around to deduce the truth. Pay close attention to what you find. Be sure to look into loose ends. Right. Okay. Infidelity, split up. Wow, it's a messy tree. I am delighted by this. Okay. My handy dandy notebook and I are on the case. Notable events. Today is August 3rd, 1999, and it has been 8 months Ooh, Y2K. I wonder if my computer's patched. Uh, it, give me a like if you remember Y2K. Give me a thumbs up if your parents, not mine, they did not, thankfully, but if your parents put things aside and had like a bunker or just a supply room for Y2K. I knew people like that. Anyway, today is August 3rd, 1999, and it has been 8 months since you helped Sam Madsen with the research necessary for her book. Sam was true to her word and paid you an incredibly large sum of money. She never mentioned you by name, however, so you've managed to keep a low profile. The Root Trees, on the other hand, have not. Below is a summary of notable events since the book's release, though you can refresh your memory in full by searching online. 6 pieces. Ooh. Sam Madsen's book about Elias Roottree was released in February. It was a bestseller for a few months. At the time, Carl had not yet been replaced. That's right, because Carl was the president and he died in the plane crash. The Roottree Rift. In March, the Roottree company stumbled publicly as they attempted to respond to the book's release with multiple conflicting press releases and a clear lack of leadership. Clark Rafferty LaRue. Clark was announced as the permanent successor to Carl Roottree and welcomed Sam Madsen to the family officially. The company hired an outside legal group to handle the changes to the Clancy Trust. This included any other new questions of lineage. 5 Ps. After this announcement, there was a rash of different people claiming to be Roottrees, mostly dismissed as opportunists and scammers. The highest profile of these by a wide margin was a rapper named Felix Fellows, who changed his moniker to 5 Ps as a publicity move at the same time. 5 Ps, God, could you not have picked a better name, is the only notable person on the updated tree. ROOTTREEMANIA. In another high-profile misstep, Miracle Roottree publicly and vehemently denied that 5 Ps was a Roottree. The Roottree's legal team then offered to do a DNA test to get 5 Ps to drop his claim, and in a moment that caught what seemed like the entire world by storm, the test proved he was a Roottree. Dun dun dun! Suddenly the world was obsessed with the Roottrees. That's interesting. And which Miracle was it? Senior? Is he not dead? Is he... Anyway. Anonymom and Jane Doe Roottree. In July, an anonymous woman, who the press began to refer to as Anonymom, appeared in interviews with her face and voice disguised. She claimed that an affair with a Roottree led to the birth of her daughter, aka Jane Doe Roottree. If true, this would make her daughter yet another secret Roottree, and therefore entitled to a share of the Clancy Trust. Nobody knew it at the time, but this would turn out to be the last chapter in the ROOTTREEMANIA saga. As more and more of Anonymom's story came out, people began to notice how much it echoed 5 Ps in nearly every significant way. The court of public opinion began to turn. Confirming the world's suspicions, the DNA test orchestrated by lawyers on both sides proved that her daughter was not a Roottree. This final event caused public disappointment, smugness from doubters, and countless accusations of the entire ordeal being an elaborate hoax or attempt at fraud. Things got a bit ugly, and the fun of ROOTTREEMANIA seemed to disappear overnight. Now, 2 months later, it feels like a distant memory. Okay, so that's interesting. I guess that this person, Jane Doe, her mom, echoed this story, but the DNA didn't hold up. Okay. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. Honest to God, I'm going to segue for a sec. So, one of the reasons I'm loving this game is that genealogy is one of my, main hobbies. And, my dad, has family that's distantly related to him. And we're talking, 4th cousin, twice removed, some crap like that. And I was like, this is very interesting because I do not have DNA in common with a person who claims to be one of our distant relatives. And my father hadn't done an ancestry test at that time. And then when he did, I realized that he has the same DNA snippet as that cousin, but I don't. So I never inherited it. So even though a DNA test could prove that you are someone's relative, the lack of DNA does not necessarily disprove it, because you only get 50% of your genes from your parent. So if that person was related to my dad's mom's sister, right? Dad's mom's, so like several generations up and a couple over, right? And then like down on that side of the family, on the other side of the family, we only have like my dad only has like 1% of DNA in common with this person, and I have 0. But my brother, who also did the test, has that same snippet. But it's not like I'm not related to my dad. Our DNA test confirms it. I have 50% of his genes. So it's just fascinating what gets passed down. So I'm going to say off the bat that Jane Doe root tree may not be a root tree. Long story said. Previously on The Root Trees Are Dead. This is a new investigation with new focus after many months of newfound interest in the root trees. It is recommended you try to catch up with some of what happened since last time. Some web searches may yield new or different results, and some books and magazines from your previous investigation may be relevant to your new one. It's also a much more widespread search. The list of first and last names you can choose from will contain red herrings. Not all of them will be used. Bloody hell. Dang. Okay. Below is a reminder of some of the most notable beats of your initial dive into the root tree family tree. All evidence from before is still available, and for your convenience, any searches that do not lead to new information still function as they did during your first investigation. The Root Tree Candy Company was founded by Elias and Gwyneth many years ago. The entire family has a financial reliance on the health of that company. Most of the action took place in or around Butler County, Pennsylvania, where the company was initially located. Elias, Carl, and Raina were on the cover of magazines. Other notable root trees, such as Lauren Root Tree, Miracle Root Tree, and Jim Root Tree, had physical media, such as record albums, books, and movies associated with them. Lauren's 2 diaries were probably the most useful resources overall, mentioning many of her relatives directly. Side note, that is something I did not enjoy so much about the last game. I did not adore how many times I had to go back to the books. The 5 pieces, Elias's children, could be identified based on the initials of the original candy flavors. There were 5 presidents of the Root Tree Company. Many were featured in periodicals. Caroline Morden, Stephanie Jones, and Brian Jones were featured in campaign posters and led to Caroline's art book, which enabled you to fill out more of the tree. Many of the younger root trees were found by following a complex rabbit hole through a conspiracy site that led to finding a searchable web address for Chris Rafferty, Lauren's grandson. I definitely did do that, yep. November Root Tree was really difficult to place. Her occupation could only be found via Brian Jones's company's website because he had done stuff for her. For dancing, choreography by November or something like that. Ronald and his brother Robert go by Ron and Robbie. Both worked on a TV show called Brother Trouble until Robbie embezzled money and fled to Paris. Ron unsuccessfully tried to have Robbie removed from the Clancy Trust. Sam and her father were cryptically mentioned in a book about historical letters. There were also a few dead ends and red herrings. Aloysius Herring Root Tree, who claimed he was a root tree, but was not. Family Man, a book about Elias Root Tree, turned out to be propaganda and not useful. Lauren's other books, historical romance novels, were not very useful on their own, though could lead to other information. And Caroline Morden's sculptures were not useful. Great. Clark. The company I hired to help us with the Clancy Trust is busy pouring through the entire family's history, as well as people they may have had contact with. That said, the family is not particularly happy with this and are doing their best to slow things down. Many of them are actively avoiding our interviews. Every time there's a high-profile public case, it causes headaches. So please, I don't mind if you do your research, but I ask that you stop going to the press. Instead, we have a highly trained team of lawyers to back you up. We're ready and willing to verify anyone and everyone you believe could be realistically part of a relationship that led to the birth of a new root tree. Just tell us who to investigate by filling in the new sections of the tree, and we'll take the time to handle verifying that the timeline checks out. But keep in mind why we're here. If someone didn't have a child or has already been disqualified by our lawyers, like in the case of the girl with the negative DNA test, I'm still suspicious, there won't be a place for them on the tree. We're not just looking for affairs and infidelities, we're only looking for the ones that led to potential new root trees. Some spots in the new section will be marked with a tree icon. Those areas are reserved for members of the original family tree you filled in 8 months ago. Just like last time, be sure to use birth names for everyone you add. Married names or nicknames won't be enough. To start sorting out the infidelities, I recommend you turn your eyes to the men in positions of power. I'd love to say that's only because it would have been a lot harder for the women to hide 9 months of pregnancy and birth without the family noticing, but I can't. I'll be blunt. I'm no stranger to infidelity. I wish I could claim that I was a perfect husband, but you've seen the family tree, so why pretend? Some of us learned how to wield our family name and fortune to our benefit. Consequences be damned. I can't change the past or unhurt those who I betrayed. Instead, all I can do is be honest with myself and you, refuse to make any more mistakes, and do my best to sort out the various messes we've left behind. So please, fill in the tree, and together we can figure out how to begin to make amends. Good luck, and thank you both. Alright. So how many people are we looking for? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You know, I have to get 4, I guess, next. But 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Okay. So we're looking for 30. The only notable root tree is this person. And that's 5 Ps. So 5 Ps is Felix Fellows, and he is a root tree. No, I don't know what he looks like. Oh, crap. Oh, they're rude. They're so rude. And I'm pretty sure he's a rapper, so he's a musician. To the computer. The best noise in the world. Yeah, that's still not a full handshake. Yeah. I should have a lot more noise to that. All right, let's look up 5 Ps. 5 Ps, aka Felix Fellows, is a rapper who has found some recent radio play after being publicly confirmed as a long-lost root tree and entitled to part of their fortune. His alias 5 Ps is a play on 5 pieces. An article you find on a website known for their particularly harsh reviews of modern music gives his most recent album, Root of All Evil, 1 star out of 7 for whatever reason, with the headline, "More poser than my action figure collection." More poser than my action figure. And that's, by the way, a sick burn. Sick burn. The review mentions his real name is David. What? David. The review mentions his real name is David, and he used to go by Dirte Davy, and the author rused the fact that this rebranding was a blatant marketing stunt at the expense of his mother's tragic past. She overdosed when he was 16. OD'd when 16. Apparently, only one of the songs on the album is new, and the others were simply rewritten to turn blatant references to sex, drugs, and violence into clumsy euphemisms. His rise to prominence was kickstarted when he appeared a few months ago on the cover of News Time. Writing that down. Holding a photo of his mother with Guy Hudson. Guy. Oh, Guy Hudson, no. At first, the Root Tree Company denied vehemently. Miracle Root Tree even appeared on the same magazine a week later. But since then, they've backtracked and publicly welcomed him to the family. The press release at the time stated that they had new evidence that confirmed his story. Wow. Okay, but... Okay. Well, okay. Can we... There we go. Oh, really? Root of all evil? Huh. Maybe Dirte Davy. Well, that's interesting. What if I look up Dirty Davy here? Okay. What if I look up Guy Hudson? There's an older version of this page. Oh, very cool. Guy Hudson, who was the only president of Root Tree for a few years in the 70s and 80s, blah, blah, suddenly rose to prominence. A few people that existed adjacent to the company in the 70s have come forward with stories about debauchery and swinger parties. Guy liked to throw large holiday parties whenever he had an excuse, and they often got very out of hand. This fact has led some people to speculate that the night he died in a car crash, he was drunk or impaired in some way, but the Butler County Police have released multiple statements and ample evidence that proves decisively that it was not foul play and that no party had taken place. Root Tree's lawyers have been quick to threaten litigation to anyone who has tried to disparage Guy or the company in public. Okay, so I need to go to this News Time magazine. Felix Fellows, aka 5Ps, famously appeared on the cover of News Time kicking off ROOTTREEMANIA. Then a week later, Miracle Root Tree appeared on the cover of the magazine, an article that focused heavily on 5Ps as well. A summary of both articles, as well as a close-up of the photo of 5Ps is holding on the cover of his issue, have been added to your evidence. 5Ps, aka Felix Fellows, appeared on the cover of News Time holding a photo of his mother and Guy Hudson. The story was dramatic and sensational and initially dismissed as fake until a DNA test proved that he was related to Guy Hudson. Okay. 5P says that his mother, Joanna, was Zach Morton's secretary when he retired, and then Guy Hudson's secretary for only 1 or 2 weeks after that before she quit, the first few weeks that he was president. His parents divorced when he was 4 after his father learned of the affair. And question mark, divorced. Felix and his mother then moved to Portland because she was afraid for her and her son's life. He grew up with her until he was 16, but one day his mother never came home from the movie rental store where she worked the register. The next morning, they found her dead from an overdose in her car. She had stolen all of the cash from her drawer and spent it on heroin. As Felix went through her belongings, the only things he had to remember her by were a hairbrush she always used. Interesting. Some photos, and a stuffed animal from her childhood. But then he found it. a box hidden in the back of her closet. Inside were love letters and photos related to Guy Hudson, as well as a letter from his father containing threats. He threw it all away with the exception of the one photo he appears with on the cover of Newstime. He says it was the only one where they were dressed, the only one not from the affair itself. The picture is shown full inside of the magazine. Add to your evidence. The magazine also includes some additional history about 5P's career. He was born Felix Fellows to Riley and Joanna Fellows, but is never rapped without a moniker. He tried to find success by opening for other artists and even by selling CDs on street corners in Portland. He's only recently started going as 5P's to harness the power of his lineage. The writer did some research into the truth of these claims and was able to confirm that Joanna did work for the Root Tree Company as a secretary sometime during the early to mid-70s. It also confirms she died of a drug overdose and that Felix went to foster care soon after they were unable to track down his father. They also reached out to the Root Tree Company, but at the moment, the company's blanket statement was, since the release of a recent book, Root Tree has seen an overwhelming number of false ancestral claims. None have been factual, nearly all have been knowingly dishonest. We encourage individuals to reach out to us in an official capacity, as opposed to attempting to use our name in the media for publicity. Okay, so his name is actually Felix Fellows. And Riley Fellows is his dad. But Joanna, we don't know her last name, and she theoretically OD'd. All of these mysterious deaths. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, it is that bloody redhead. Oh my god. It's the original Miracle. Miracle Root Tree appeared on the cover of Newstime shortly after 5P's did. He vehemently denied that 5P's was a Root Tree. This article was from before the DNA that proved it. Miracle doesn't focus much on the details of 5P's accusations regarding his mother and Guy Hudson. Instead, he comes across as exhausted at the events that have been going on behind the scenes, as well as the character of those he feels are attacking his family. He starts with 6. Sorry, I'm like looking at the reflection of the glasses. I guess he's looking at the other issue. Okay. It's reflecting in his glasses. He says that although most of the book was based in fact, it left out anything that wouldn't fit the agenda. He points out Sam's daughter still earns a generous salary for overseeing the farm division of Root Tree, that Sam did the same before her. That Sam's family was not destitute, and that really it was only her son who chose to take on a job with no salary. He claims that though they didn't have to, the family helped pay for her son's medical bills after voting that it was the right thing to do. Miracle also says that the story about his father, Elias, shunning EC was one-sided, leaving out Edward Clancy's blame in the whole thing. Elias gave him a simple ultimatum. Ooh, this is gonna make me angry. Stop sinning or be disowned. Miracle says that it was EC's own choice and that Elias allowing him to earn food and shelter on the company's dime was a kindness, especially considering that he and John continued to live together. Screw you, Miracle. I thought he would be a good guy. He's wearing, like, rainbow stuff. Miracle then pivots to the fallout from 6 Pieces. He recounts a deluge of claims to the Clancy Trust that the family had been subjected to. He doesn't cite any specifics, but says that every time someone comes forward, the family devolves to arguments. They've had to hire an outside legal team to help, but so far every case has been demonstrably, laughably false. All they do is tarnish his family's reputation. He focuses on 5Ps who appeared on Newstime before him, calls him a grifter and a delinquent, and says he is using their name and products to sell filth to the masses. Of all the accusations, he says this is the most dangerous because it exposes the world to hatred. He cites 5P's lyrics as violent, sexy, and sexist, and ungodly, and prays the boy will repent, retract his lies, and find religion. Lastly, he turns to the future. Miracle states that those that wish to hear the true story can join him on his farewell tour this upcoming fall. The Miracle's Root Tree, because there are 3 of them, are planning on touring the country's churches one last time, and that now at age 71, Miracle is the oldest living Root Tree. While he plans to continue preaching at his own church in Butler County after the tour, this is, quote, your last chance to hear the truth from the man with the most complete recollection of one of America's most notable families in your own hometown. The article mentions that Miracle's son, Miracle Jr., did not wish to comment and has a statement from Clark Rafferty LaRue through the Root Trees law firm. Miracle does not speak for his entire family. We're working carefully on a plan to definitively disprove any claims of infidelity in our family's past. The article also does not refute Miracle's claim that he's the oldest living root tree, despite Sam Madsen being born the year before him. Ooh. It's unclear if Miracle made the claim out of ignorance or spite. Well, I'm going to say spite, because he seems like a dick. Oh, there we go. The Root Tree Family Picnic. That's Joanna something. That's Guy. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Well, it's not this or this. It's got to be one of the... Right, okay, yeah. So that's him, and he's a musician. And this is Guy Hudson. And he was the second? Third. Second? Sugar Shack. Where is he? He's over here. Second. Third. Did I get that right? Yeah, I did. And this is her. Oh, crap. I don't know her last name. She's Joanna. And she was a secretary. No. Because it wants it the most recent one. So she was like a retail. And this is Riley. Riley Fellows. Yeah, they split up. They had the affair. $75 to $82. Well, that's interesting. Wait, does that mean he had 5 affairs? Jesus, Guy. He looked like such a nice dude here. Okay. Okay. What else do we have? Let's Google 6 pieces. Unwrapping America's Sweetest Family by Sam Madsen was released in early 1999, perhaps assisted by the still relatively recent plane crash, shot to the top of the charts. Reviews were mixed, and its time on the bestsellers list was limited to only 2 months. The core of the book was compelling in that the takedown of the hypocrisy of Elias Root Tree was deserved. However, many took umbrage with the timing of the release and the tone of the book, which seemed vindictive. The fallout from the book led to the Root Tree Company scrambling to release, a statement, and due to a conflict of leadership, famously released multiple conflicting official statements over 3 days. This confusing move was referenced in popular culture due to a late-night sketch about indecisionitis, but more traditional analysts have been calling it the Root Tree Rift. A few months later, due to ROOTTREEMANIA, the book re-entered the charts and sold even better than the first time. What's the older one? Okay, gotcha. Let us see if we can search indecisionitis. Indecisionitis was a disease coined by a popular sketch show as part of a fake pharmaceutical advertisement for JIT Together. While the segment isn't fully about the Root Tree Candy Company, it was released in the weeks after their bizarre response to the release of 6 Pieces by Sam Madsen and references the recent news. In the sketch, a woman ordered a number 5 at a drive-through speaker. Then, after pulling forward, she changed her mind at the window, asking to switch it to a number 3. This caused a lengthy backup and annoyance amongst the restaurant's employees and other patrons. After she pulled away as the employees began helping other customers, the same woman then barged into the restaurant and passed the current line, loudly complaining that she didn't receive her number 5. After this, the sketch transitioned from the restaurant scene into a pharmaceutical commercial. A doctor claims that the woman was suffering from indecisionitis, a disease that causes extreme confusion and irritability, and, quote, has recently been found to severely hinder the leaders of large corporations, but could also spread to humans. Could also spread to humans, end quote. The doctor then recommends JIT Together, a fake pharmaceutical drug. Multiple testimonials use variations of the catchphrase, when I can't make my tough decisions, I've got to get my JIT together. Nice. The final testimonial included a bald man in silhouette with a voice changer saying, I'm not comfortable sharing who I am, but I am comfortable saying that before I took over my family's candy company, I really should have gotten my JIT together. Okay, so they're referencing Clark. Yeah. Clark? I think it's Clark. Anyway. That's pretty funny. Is there anything here? I don't think so, but I'm gonna search for the Root Tree Rift. The first was fairly standard. It stated that there was no president of the Root Tree Company, but that the entire family was made aware of the release of the book and that they would be meeting as soon as possible. Only then they could verify the legitimacy of the claims it raised and decide next steps. The second release was emailed to business newspapers 3 hours later and announced that after a vote, Ron Roottree would be taking over temporarily as an interim president. It also went on to state that Ron was aware of the book, had verified the claims within, and would look into compensating Mrs. Madsen and her family immediately. It also stated that the company lawyers would be taking immediate steps with the family to revisit the Clancy Trust's terms to make sure nothing like this could happen again. It was quickly clear to business reporters and analysts that the time between the 2 press releases would not have been logistically sufficient to gather a majority of the family, even using conference calls. Yeah, this is like before Zoom and stuff. This was reported on many news channels, and a third, much shorter press release came the next day, claiming that a draft of the announcement was made prematurely and that Clark, Rafferty, LaRue, and Ron Roottree would be taking over as the company's first joint presidents. It also stated that any compensation plan would be based on a stringent verification process. So we have Clark and Ron joint prez. Okay. Okay. Let's look through the periodicals. Okay. What about Clark, Rafferty, LaRue? Who is Ruby Spratt? Is that his wife? Oh no. Okay. No, she's the lawyer. Okay. Ruby Spratt, lawyer. She offered to work for very little money so long as she could be a public face, build her reputation. After looking over the Clancy Trust more carefully than anyone had in years, Ruby came to the conclusion that Clancy Edward Root Tree's implementation was not legally sound, and that there would be constant legal challenges without some modifications. The family decided to put her in charge of the trust both legally and as a public face to prevent further issues. Ruby Legal Enterprises. I'm writing that down too. Has been described as a mix between a law firm and a PR firm. Her first move, as sort of a trial run before she was even hired permanently, was to help them draft a public statement accepting Sam into the family and declaring that they'd begin to address the Clancy Trust. This went quite well, and they officially hired her in early April. Ruby Legal is now in charge of many financial aspects of the company, including verifying any claims to the trust and organizing the various charitable causes, such as scholarships that have been set up in the name of the deceased. Never did look up the Clancy Trust, I don't think. Sam, her children, grandchildren should all have been covered under the trust. Those who wrote the trust, purposely deceive the rest of the family. In an attempt to keep Sam and her father, Edward Clancy, his own twin brother, in comparative poverty. Sam's book revealed this to the public, did not go over well. Clark took over the company. He ensured Sam's family would get their share. Ruby Legal Enterprises. I'm intrigued because this didn't mention Ron. Ruby Legal Enterprises is the name of the law firm that has been hired by the Root Tree Candy Company. The company is named after its head lawyer, Ruby Spratt. Can't find much about the company from before this year, though all of the articles tell the same tale. After the fiasco of 6 Pieces and the revelation, blah, 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 they hired outside counsel. Oh, Cicely Sanchez. Cicely Sanchez is an author best known for Portrait of a Changed Man, released in 1979. Her follow-up, Foreign Gospel, 1984, did not perform as well critically, but still sold quite respectably. She has written a few more books since then, including a biography of Van Gogh, but the first 2 are her claim to fame. According to the site about authors, Cicely is known for her nonfiction, with a focus on exploring darkness in the human psyche. Recently, Cicely appeared in a magazine called Piketty with an article about a book she had been commissioned to write for Guy Hudson. You can't see it, but I'm giving the camera a side-eye. Or I would be if I had a camera. The magazine and Cicely herself were immediately issued a cease and desist due to its inclusion of pictures that she had never had the rights to publish. The issue was pulled from store shelves, making it an instant collector's item. Okay, so first we're going to look up Portrait of a Changed Man. Cicely Sanchez. Did I not do that right? Cicely, did I not spell Cicely right? Cicely Sanchez. Portrait of a Changed. Foreign Gospel. Out of print. Foreign Gospel tells the tale of a man from the Catholic Church who claims he was told by God that he should travel to Thailand, begin to preach specifically with the goal to convert 10,000 people. He returned to the United States after just over 2 years, claiming to have succeeded. This book tells his version of the story, but the author Cicely Sanchez also traveled to Thailand to investigate these claims and talk with some of the so-called converted. Piketty. In an issue that focused on a talking toy fish and the demonic messages it supposedly said as the batteries ran low, Picotti had an article about a canceled book by Cicely Sanchez. The book's subject was Guy Hudson, and the issue was said to contain pictures that Cicely did not have the rights to publish. Because of the pictures, this issue was pulled from store shelves, making it the subject of some conspiracies and an instant collector's item. Due to this recall, the version found in these archives is incomplete. This was the issue of Picotti magazine that contained an article about Cicely Sanchez. The story concerned an unreleased book she had written about Guy Hudson. It seems that it used photos of Guy that Cicely did not own the rights to publish. Fortunately, the magazine was issued a cease and desist by the Root Tree's lawyers. Pulled from the shelves, blah, blah, blah. Basil. That's pretty funny. Big Sass Seabass. Cicely Sanchez reveals Root Tree secrets. This utensil that will help you lose 50 pounds. Okay. We don't have a year on it, do we? Recently. Well, I suspect that Cicely Sanchez is one of these question marks stemming from Guy Hudson. Right. Cicely Sanchez. Okay, that's how I got to Cicely. It's not updated. Oh, it's a defunct magazine, okay. Ooh! News Time briefly covered a lawsuit between Ruby Spratt and Picotti magazine surrounding Cicely Sanchez. Cicely didn't have the rights to redistribute the photos. So they pulled their issue. This caused the issue to sell faster than any other in the magazine's history, though only for a day. It especially caught the eye of conspiracy theory. Oh boy. It especially caught the eye of conspiracy theorists who assumed that anything worth suing over would have to be hiding something. An expert legal analyst from News Time states that it was unlikely that Ruby could have had the story pulled if it gone to court. Interesting. Okay. Picotti, Cicely Sanchez. Okay. Well, I'm sort of running out of steam here because I'm not really sure where to go with all of this. Maybe I should Google Anonymom. Anonymom was the second high-profile case after Felix Fallows of a potential new root tree being added to the Clancy Trust. Instead of claiming herself a root tree, however, she claimed she'd slept with Guy Hudson, that her daughter was a root tree. The accusation came during the height of Root Tree Mania and began with a brief TV interview. She appeared in the shadows with a disguised voice and promoted an article about herself in News Time. Oh, okay. In a TV interview and the article, she referred to her daughter as Jane Doe Root Tree. The name Anonymom was not self-inflicted. It seemed to spring up organically because no one knew how else to refer to her. The day after the News Time article, Sam Madsen publicly supported Anonymom due to some parts of the story she found particularly credible. With the momentum from Sam's endorsement, Anonymom went on a media blitz. Ultimately, this backfired. As more details came out, people became skeptical of her story due to the extreme similarity to 5P's. Her accusation even included many of the same details as his mother's story. This included her job, the secretary, and the time period, late 70s. Could it be that Guy Hudson is a serial womanizer? And that's why everything is so similar? I think so. After fumbling the 5P story so publicly, the Rootttrees were more prepared to handle all Clancy Trust-related cases. The DNA test proved that Anonymom's daughter could not be related to the Rootttrees. This was announced at a joint press conference with lawyers representing both Anonymom and the Rootttrees. Each party ensured their respective clients provide accurate samples. Immediately after the negative results were released, many of those who had already been skeptical felt vindicated. Others who had built up hope that history could repeat itself after 5Ps felt duped. Many people suspected the whole affair had been a hoax to gain fame and money. Many demanded that Anonymom be held accountable, and some people even began to attempt to track down her true identity. The Roottree Company felt pressured to put out a second statement to try to curb some of the backlash, even going so far as to say, though it was scientifically proven that Jane Doe Roottree is not a Roottree, this doesn't mean that her mother and Guy Hudson were not involved in an affair. She had every right to make her claim, as it has been verified that her stories about Guy Hudson were not exaggerations. Please leave their family alone. Many people claim this high-profile anti-climax and public backlash was the beginning of the end for ROOTTREEMANIA, since much of the fun was the shared fascination about secret Roottrees. Others think that, like any fad, it just ran its course naturally. Regardless, this was the final notable event related to the release of 6 pieces, and things soon went back to normal. Jane Doe Roottree has already been eliminated as a potential new Roottree by the company's lawyers. Anonymom's affair does not appear on your updated tree. I don't like that. So, Anonymom in News Time. Well, here we go. Why would I need a picture? An anonymous woman appeared on the cover of News Time holding a picture of her daughter, Jane Doe Roottree. The first and only mention of the phrase Anonymom in News Time came the week after, when they issued an apology for featuring her in the first place. A summary of the initial cover article has been added to your evidence. Oh, there's no face or anything. Okay. It is determined through a DNA test that Anonymom's daughter was not a Roottree. Doth they protest just a little much? This article, which did refer to her daughter as Jane Doe Roottree but did not coin the phrase Anonymom, came before all of that right around the time of her first TV interview. This is a summary. An anonymous woman appeared on the cover of News Time shortly after 5Ps was confirmed to be a member of the Roottree family. In an homage to the previous cover, she holds a photo of her daughter. Unlike 5Ps, she wished to remain anonymous, and both photos were obscured. The anonymous woman claimed to have had an affair with Guy Hudson while she was working as secretary. She and another woman were hired at the same time during a transition period, while many of the secretaries that had worked under Zach Morton were already gone, like Joanna. She says that she and the other woman were both underqualified, as neither had typewriter experience. According to other staff members interviewed, Guy had his own, quote, requirements for hiring women. Guy Hudson liked to throw lavish parties, and the longer he was president, the more excuses he found. The anonymous woman posits that these parties mostly seemed to be an excuse to have after parties at Guy's home, featuring much more alcohol and other substances. She claims she slept with him at one of these after parties. She confronted Guy when she found out she was pregnant. Guy didn't seem fazed. So he's been through this before. And they came to an arrangement. He paid her a significant amount of hush money on a recurring basis under the table. She used it to move away and start a new life with her daughter. When Guy died, the money stopped coming, and she assumed that things had run their course. She went back to work at the department store and hoped that nobody... Okay, so hang on. I'm giving us too much info on her. Anonymom. Department store. And hoped that nobody would ever look too closely at how she paid for her house. She told everyone that her daughter's father walked out one day and never came back. She claimed that after, quote, seeing the fantastic article in Newstime, she realized that she wasn't the only one this happened to. While she never worked at the Root Tree Company at the same time as 5P's mother, Joanna, their stories seemed eerily similar, and she knew Joanna was telling the truth right away. The article presented no tangible evidence of the anonymous woman's time at Root Tree, and all of the payments were allegedly made in cash. However, using details that she provides to Newstime, their reporters were able to reach out to the other women hired at the same time who also remained anonymous. They successfully fact-checked the timeline of both women and confirmed the existence of the infamous after-parties. 5P's case was strengthened, and this news story was subsequently published. Did I do this? Oh, yeah, I did. No, okay. What else was I looking at? Right, Jane Doe Root Tree. It's the same one. Okay. The frustrating thing is I only need like one more person to lock in. This, I think this is Anonymom, and that's Jane Doe. Honest to God. Oh, but I don't have her last name. Whoops. Oh, Riley Fellows. Killing me, Smalls. Oh, that's a new thing. Ruby Sprout, like her legal company, is relatively elusive. The website for a magazine owned by a major airline. She's the subject of one article from a recurring series about modern-day success stories. She grew up in foster care, but suspicious. But excelled at school and earned a scholarship to study at Mid-Eastern University. There, she graduated at the top of her legal class. One was a legal consultant for a class action lawsuit against a manufacturer of steering wheel covers. Another was to help a local gas station chain in her hometown of Portland with the rollout of promotion. To bet on the price of gas. Her new firm is Double Threat. Sugar Shack. Portland Magazine. Portland News. Portland. I bet Ruby herself is a member of the family. Just calling that now. Okay, we're at like an hour, but I want to try to lock something in here. Haven't searched for everything on your list of notable events. Really? Oh, I haven't searched on Clark, I guess. Have I? Oh, yeah. Oh! 2 weeks later, the company released a press statement that thanked Ron for his work. Complex and volatile marital history. Isn't he the one who, like, was married, divorced, married another LaRue, divorced her, and then married the other LaRue sister, while his, like, cousin Jim was married to another LaRue? I think so. Okay. Let's look up Ron Roottree. What's he up to now? Ron was announced as president of Roottree during the Roottree Rift, but the next press release immediately reversed the announcement and instead stated that Ron and Clark would take over. A few weeks later, Ron was dropped from the title entirely. There are hundreds of results about this development, but most articles are retelling of basic details. Some veer into heavy speculation based on an article about Ron Business Watch. Ron has also done some interviews saying that the truth of what went on behind the scenes is not something he wishes to discuss. Instead, he hopes to release a movie about it someday. Oh. 3 weeks ago, Ron's mother, Gwyn, died in Paris, France. He and his brother, Robbie, have seemingly made amends. Oh, that's... I feel sad. I feel like I know these people. Business Watch, Ron Roottree. Ran an article 2 months after the rift. The article mentions that nobody from Roottree they reached out to was willing to go on the record. There's leaks and the source on the inside. An anonymous source. The timeline says that the family actually held a preliminary vote after Carl Roottree died, but before the release of 6 Pieces, decided they wanted Ron Roottree to take over because of his experience running RR Productions, because he has a well-known, well-respected Roottree. But Ron seemed way too eager and personally motivated. They were worried he would gut the Clancy Trust to remove Robbie Roottree. The family was notoriously unwilling to do anything that could risk their wealth. They stalled and Ron became frustrated with the delay. When 6 Pieces came out, he saw his chance to force action while the family was in the limelight and released the press release himself in an attempt to get the ball rolling faster. This caused chaos within the family. They tried to save face by allowing Ron to take over as co-president with Clark, but according to Business Watch's source, Ron was impossible to deal with. He seemed like he was unwilling to protect the Clancy Trust, and they eventually let him go. After that, the role passed solely to Clark, who nobody was excited about, but seemed like the safest choice. That's fair. Well, let's see. Robbie Roottree. Robbie Roottree was released from French prison after serving a few years for assault. His embezzlement and arrest were partially featured in 6 Pieces, as Robbie's participation in the Clancy Trust was a key piece of evidence in Sam's favor, and have since become much more publicly infamous. He has not yet returned to the United States, but when journalists reached out to him recently after the death of his mother, he had issued a blanket statement a few days ago. The death of my mother was hard on our family. My brother and I, after spending time together caring for her and mourning, have finally made amends. It was a highly transformative few weeks when it came to our relationship. I'm in recovery from my addiction, and a major aspect of that process is that I wish to stay private. Okay. Oh my god, have I really not? Did I not search ROOTTREEMANIA? Collectively, popular culture seemed to focus on the Roottree family. Daytime talk shows had I'm a Secret Roottree episodes. Late night hosts and guests made jokes about other lost members of the family. There was a widely shared website where you could fill in your own name to find out if you're a secret root tree. When you submitted your name and simply said no with an image of Clark Rafferty LaRue giving you the finger. ROOTTREEMANIA lasted only a few weeks, just long enough for 6 pieces to re-enter the charts and to trigger new printings of other root tree-related media. Ah ha ha ha! This includes Lauren's diaries. Wow, my pen is dying. Hang on. Lauren's diaries, VHS of Gwen's movies, unauthorized, unauth bios. These re-releases were too late to successfully capitalize on or extend the craze. As a result, most of them were failures, and countless novel t-shirts that had variations of "I'm a secret root tree" became immediately unfashionable, though some people still wear them ironically. Rats. Nope. I'm like, do I remember what she wrote? Nope, I don't. Alzheimer's. In the wake of 6 pieces released, Lauren Roottree was tracked down by a reporter. Being in one of the most upscale memory care facilities in Pittsburgh, she was relocated back to Pennsylvania when she began suffering from Alzheimer's. There was a minor backlash towards the reporter that tracked Lauren down because they were caught standing on a ladder and holding their camera over the privacy wall to take a photo of Lauren and her son Clark sitting on a bench outside near a small pond on the premises. Okay, so I was right about that. So a life between wars. Wow, my pen is really dead. Okay. So we will copy that. Really? Okay. Oh, maybe I should have searched under root tree. Yeah. I should have looked up root tree. When revisiting Lauren's book, there's a single passage that focuses on potential affairs in her immediate family. You've added it to the rest of your evidence. Woot! Cruelty. Written in 1963, it focuses on the relationship between her mother and father. While it offered only redundant information during your previous investigation, it mentions the subject of affairs and may be useful this time around. I am no stranger to true love. Jacob and I married at an age that most deem unfit for marriage, but he was also enlisting at an age that most deem unfit for war. We had no choice. I knew in my heart that our marriage was one for the ages. He and I would still be together today if not for Okinawa. That was nearly 20 years ago, but there is an emptiness in my soul. I do not understand my contemporaries. So many girls I went to school with have taken multiple lovers. So many of my girlfriends' husbands have been unfaithful. If I am able to remain true to the ghost of a man with no chance of physical reciprocation, no potential for long conversation, how could it be so hard to love someone you can reach out and touch, someone you can joke with? I have not had to deal with such madness at home. My parents are a perfect match in the worst way. My mother's cruelty is a perfect fit for my father's general spite. In turn, Pop's status enables her incessant need to gloat and feel superior. I've grown up with their cruelty and disdain for others my entire life. Even my family remains unspared. They make fun of my grandpop and his family sayings, blood is thicker than syrup, but nothing's thicker than Elias. They mimic Grandma Gwyneth's lisp and see her kindness as weakness. Elias, please remember Tham. Not even our family's maladies and religion go unmocked. Remember, God only put one eye in a miracle. Oh, okay, that was really good. I can say without a doubt in my mind that my parents have never had eyes for anyone outside their marriage. They're too self-centered to look astray. Oh, that's funny. Okay, yeah. Okay. So that's where we'll start next time. But for now, this is where we're gonna have to leave it because I've been talking at you guys for like over an hour. If you enjoyed this, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you on the next one. Thanks so much.